Welcome back. You're watching Sky News. In just a moment, the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. But first, our top stories. Firefighters say they've started to make progress in slowing wildfires in and around Los Angeles, which have killed at least 5 people and destroyed whole communities. Downing Street says Sir Keir Starmer won't soften his language about Liz Truss's brief tenure as Prime Minister, despite her lawyers suggesting it's defamatory. And current and former US presidents and bitter election rivals have come face to face at the funeral of Jimmy Carter, who died late last month, more than 40 years after he left the White House. You are watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. It's time to see what's making the headlines with the editor of the Courier in Dundee, David Clegg, and the Mail on Sunday's deputy political editor, Anna Mikhailova. They'll be with us from now until just before midnight, so let's see what's on some of those front pages for you now. The Metro leads on the wildfires in California that have left devastation in their wake. The headline, Los Angeles. The Financial Times reports on Elon Musk's alleged plans to oust Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. While the Mirror has an exclusive that the tech billionaire's rants have triggered a counter-extremism unit to investigate if they could pose a potential risk to Britain. Missing in action, reads the Telegraph's headline as they write of the Chancellor's decision to visit China while markets are in turmoil. The Daily Mail carries a warning from the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, that the UK faces a financial crisis following the pound's sharp decline against the US dollar due to increased borrowing. The Times says the Chancellor is searching for new ideas to promote growth in the country to offset the increased debt. The Guardian reports that world temperatures surpassed 1.5 degrees for the first time last year, showing 2024 as the hottest year on record. In other news, the Daily Express has an exclusive that ISIS bride, Shamima Begum, could run free within days following Turkish airstrikes on the Syrian refugee camp she's being housed in. And the Star reignites tensions with the former Prime Minister, Liz Truss, over her threats to sue Sir Keir Starmer, again comparing her to a head of lettuce. Not a headline I'm sure she'd like to read. And a reminder that by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you watch us. And we're joined tonight by David Clegg and Anna Mikhailova. Welcome to you both. Let's start with the Metro and obviously the lead story, the fires in Los Angeles. That's a picture from space showing the devastation, and you can see there that the swathes of the city that have been engulfed by flames, an area we're told that the size of central London has been hit, David.
It's extraordinary, and it's actually quite hard to comprehend the scale of it. I've been to Los Angeles a couple of times and have some idea some of the areas involved there, but to think about the number of homes that have been destroyed, the lives that have been devastated, and what seemed in quite a few parts of it, the ineptitude of the response. And I was watching some of your coverage earlier, and you see the real devastation that's been caused there, and the fact that people really can't understand why were we not better prepared for this. It's not like Los Angeles is an area that doesn't know that there's a fire risk. Now, obviously, with climate change, with the rising temperatures, this part of January would not normally be considered high-risk fire season in LA, but clearly they've not been prepared enough, and we're still seeing now absolute carnage.
Yes, Nana, many drawing the comparison of a Hollywood disaster movie, but happening in real time, in real people. I mean, it's just astounding to view these pictures, isn't it?
It is, and obviously we all, through Hollywood, through the importance of it in terms of our culture, and we're so familiar with Los Angeles from films, from television. Even those iconic palm trees that line the boulevards are now burnt to a crisp. We all know these streets, so Sunset Boulevard is now under threat, they're saying, and could be evacuated. And I think it is utterly devastating, but it's not just homes, of course, it's schools, it's hospitals, it's a whole giant community that's going to have to be completely rebuilt from scratch. And I think it is correct that people are already asking questions of the politicians. So notably, the mayor cut the budget of the firefighters, the fire department's budget. There are questions about why some of the fire hydrants were not filled with water. And you getting these reports from the ground of homeowners just trying to douse their own homes with water, trying to fight desperately just with water hoses. And then, obviously, what's happening is they're trying to fight one fire, and then the ash from the sky falls, lights the building next door. It's just horrific.
And not just the loss of property and belongings, but also the loss of life. I mean, 5 is the figure that we're told at the moment. The suggestion is that will rise.
Well, I think they're very concerned that it could rise, especially because there are so many houses and so many properties they just haven't been able to get access to yet, and it could be some time until they do get access. In fact, I saw one fire chief, he was saying, we're just praying that when we go in there, we won't find too many bodies. So there is serious, dangerous days ahead, I think. And one element of it that I find quite interesting as well is that the Times did a piece about celebrity homes that have been destroyed here. Sir Anthony Hopkins, famously from a UK perspective. And I saw some criticism of that in regards to it being an obsession with celebrity when so many thousand people have been affected here. But I think what it shows, and this whole incident is shown here, in what is a very affluent communities, just not only movie stars, but also some very rich people that have been wiped out by this, that these types of natural disasters, these types of events can happen to anyone and can happen anywhere, and that we really are going to, I think, have to give some consideration to the need for preparation for dealing for these kind of extreme weather events in the years ahead, because it could really devastate anyone.
Indeed. Anna, take us to the Times, first of all. Read our domestic economy. And this story looking at the fact that Rachel Reeves, they're saying, searches for new ideas on growth. This coming off the back of the markets being spooked, and certainly lots of criticism of the effects of her budget.
Absolutely. Well, so this is the story that was absolutely dominating Westminster and Parliament today. Rachel Reeves, the Times calls the Chancellor. There was the Conservatives really pushed this line that she was missing in action because she's physically on a flight to China as we speak, and called for her to cancel the trip and come to the Commons and effectively calm the markets and reassure people. This is all a story that's obviously been brewing this week about borrowing costs rising, and now rising to higher than the spike under Liz Truss. Now, there is still a very big difference about what's happening now and what's happening then. This is part of a global trend. This is partly a reaction towards the incoming presidency of Donald Trump and what that might mean for the global economy, whereas the Liz Truss spike was much more of an outlier and coupled with a sharper fall in the pound. However, we are seeing also a fall in the pound. We are already seeing markets downgrade the number of interest rate cuts we might see this year, which has an instant effect on people, on homeowners, because it almost immediately means that borrowing costs are going to be higher than expected. So the cost of your mortgage is going to be higher. So these are all really serious questions for Rachel Reeves. And the Times' story is specifically that she has apparently told cabinet colleagues to start drafting ideas for growth, because the only real way she gets out of this whole mess is getting actual growth in the economy. I mean, they've staked the house on growth. So she is appealing to other ministers to say, right, for your departments, give us ideas. The question is, why aren't those ideas already there in the first place?
David, the Guardian, looking at the perspective that Rachel Reeves is considering deeper cuts in spending.
So I think growth would obviously be a preferred option, and I think Labour are in a very difficult moment here, and I think this must be a concern, because the reaction to their first budget has not been good by any standards. And I still feel that there are some unexploded landmines there. At the Courier, I'm getting a lot of contact from small business owners worried about the national insurance rise, the various changes to inheritance tax, and the theory behind that was that they would do the painful stuff early, and then by the time that they were starting to see the effects of that and the financial situation stabilising, they would be able to then get onto the good stuff, be on the ground that Labour want to fight the next election on. What this Guardian story is suggesting is that she may need to consider even deeper spending cuts. She's asking where we could find more cuts. And if we're getting into another cycle of that, where the story is about how Labour are inflicting more pain, we've seen, of course, the winter fuel payments issue, which is also has got more political pain to come, I think.
Because it will be to public services, won't it? Be cuts to public services.
I mean, there's very few other places to go now. So, there's been areas of protected spend. Is that going to change as well? And both the Chancellor and the Prime Minister have been so emphatic that these fiscal rules will not be broken, that they are sacrosanct. Now, Anna is completely right that a lot of what has changed here and why they are in this new tricky situation is that the markets are expecting Donald Trump's actions in government to be inflationary. And they are taking action with that in mind. It is not a self-inflicted wound in the same way that the Liz Truss budget was. Nevertheless, Labour, the UK government's position that they find themselves in now is that after doing what they thought was a very painful budget, which has made backbench Labour MPs extremely uncomfortable in many circumstances, they may find that the fiscal headroom that they hoped that would give them is not there, and they'll have more difficult decisions to make in the future. So I can understand why the Times are describing her as rattled in their headline this morning.
OK, David and Anna, thank you very much for the moment. We're going to take a break. Coming up, the Mirror is reporting tonight that Elon Musk is the subject of an anti-extremism investigation over his statements concerning British politics. We'll discuss that next. Do stay with us.
Clubs separated by a 3.5-mile stretch of urban North London. The North London derby occupies centre stage. And that's a beautiful finish. The encircle, that's just stunning.
The North London derby, only on Peacock.
We've come to one of Moscow's Cold War bunkers. It was built as a top-secret command centre.
Being here really feels like you're stepping back in time. I'm Ivor Bennett, Sky's Moscow correspondent.
A show of military might and menace.
Courage, bravery and sacrifice will win the day.
It's a new subject. They'll learn about combat drones and some how to handle a Kalashnikov.
The Kremlin continues to put forward its own version of events, both present and past.
There's no mention of the fact that Russia invaded its neighbour. That's rewriting history, isn't it?
Now we have to read it carefully.
Vladimir Putin put forward his plan for a ceasefire in Ukraine, telling Kiev, pull out of your eastern territories and the war will end. Why should the West trust you?
Frankly, I don't care whether the West trusts us or not.
Vladimir Putin is already the Kremlin's longest-serving leader since Stalin. The question is, what will a fifth Putin term mean for Russia and the world?
Why do you support Vladimir Putin, Mr. Segal?
I can't answer questions that stupid.
I've watched Vladimir Putin attempt to create a new world order.
The St. Petersburg Economic Forum was the backdrop to Vladimir Putin's latest verbal volley that Russia could send missiles to other nations to target the West.
Ambassador, I wonder, shall we have a quick word for Sky News?
Is the West right? Are you fueling Russia's war machine?
Swedish media, oh my God, you're not afraid of being here.
American journalist Evan Gershkovich is on trial here, but was first on display.
Russia says Evan Gershkovich was caught red-handed, but has never produced any evidence to back that up. Sky News. Get the full story first.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. A new start to Sunday.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Weeknights on Sky News.
This is your chance. Tell people.
Welcome to the Politics Hub.
Our police force has apologised.
If you want to find out about Grimsby, you come to the docks.
I'm live in Jerusalem.
Are you not concerned that that could lead to all-out war?
Hello there, good evening. There are fears of an upsurge in violence. What's at stake here?
You are watching the press preview, a first look at the front pages as they arrive. Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. With me still, David Clegg and Anna Mikhailova, who are taking us through the papers. Let's have a look at the Financial Times to start with. Also related story in the Mirror, but this is Elon Musk, who is insisting on intervening, making interventions into UK politics. This time we read that he's planning to oust Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, allegedly.
Allegedly, the Financial Times are reporting sources saying that he's been having conversations about how he could be removed, even if it could be possible to remove him before the next election. It also talks about his potential support for reform and whether he's maybe looking for a new leader other than Nigel Farage there. We know that he's fallen out with him as well. It brings to the end. This is just the next chapter in, what seems to be a manic episode that Elon Musk is having, where he seems to be tweeting about the UK all the time. He's tweeting about Germany all the time. He's doing interviews about who people should vote for in the German election. The guy's meant to run multiple companies as well, and I think.
And he'll be in government soon as well.
And he's going to be in government soon. And, of course, he's going to be working for the president, who was extremely upset that the Labour Party sent some members out to canvass in the US election. Meanwhile, the richest man in the world's plotting to... Meanwhile, the richest man in the world is plotting to unseat our Prime Minister in what sounds a little bit like a coup dreamt up by a billionaire Bond villain. It's easy to joke about this because there is something ludicrous about him, but it's also, I think, very dangerous, and clearly it's not something that sits well or sits right.
Yeah, so meanwhile, Anna, in the Mirror, they see Elon Musk's musings not as a joking matter at all. Suggestion there that there's going to be an anti-extremism probe about his tweeting. Well, it's not tweet anymore, is it? Xing, do you call it now?
I think still tweeting. Well, this is, the Mirror is reporting Hope Not Hate, which they've described as an counter-extremism unit, which makes it sound official, almost like a government probe. But to be clear, it is not. Hope Not Hate is a charity or activists, you could say. But they are describing him as an international extremist, and they're going to investigate his tweets and the effect it has. Obviously focusing on the recent comments which have been widely condemned about Jess Phillips, the Home Office Minister, which has caused her to get close protection. So, look, I think, Elon Musk again being on the front pages, again having this feud with Keir Starmer, it is extraordinary, specifically in the context that he's not just some rogue billionaire, he is someone who's about to be quite a key figure in the incoming Trump administration. What's unclear is exactly what his role is going to be, if he's an advisor or if he's got a more formalised role, and whether or not they're going to tolerate this sort of stuff afterwards.
Finally, to the Daily Star, not often featuring in our press preview, but the headline, I think, has to take the headline of the day. Letters who crash the economy tells bloke who was crashing the economy, don't say I crashed the economy. And the letters to which they refer is, David?
This is Liz Truss's legal threat to Sir Keir Starmer to say that she stopped crashing, to stop saying that she crashed the economy or she's going to sue him for defamation. It is a ridiculous threat. I really don't understand what is going on. And if I was Sir Keir Starmer's lawyer, I would just suggest that he cuts out that front page and sends it back as his buzz.
David and Anna, thank you so much for taking us through the papers. Thank you. Let's take a look at the weather for you now. And the cold theme will continue for many, but milder air will move into the west this weekend. Tomorrow we'll start with an extensive and locally severe frost with icy stretches and some freezing fog. There'll be plenty of morning sunshine, but fog will be slow to lift in places and it'll be cloudy in the southwest. Parts of Ireland and southwest England can expect patchy rain, sleet and hill snow, while northeast Britain will see the odd wintry shower. It'll stay cold, freezing for some, but the southwest will turn milder and windier. Coming up next on Sky News at 11, California firefighters hope to make the most of the calmer winds to get on top of wildfires that have killed at least 5 people and ravaged whole communities.